they are now realizing that the connection with that client that might have been a 2 out of 10 before is now 0, because those clients are yearning, like you are, like I am, for connection, right? And we've tried this with some of our friends, trying to do the virtual cocktail hour. Like, that's not awesome.
Not
I think a super majority now are like, okay, we now are forced to pivot or we're going to die.
Do you think there's a pent up need for this? I mean, I was just talking to somebody this morning about uh it's a client of mine who runs uh like a marina, and last year was just a killer year, like perhaps the best year ever. Just because everybody's changing what they're doing. So they're more comfortable doing snowmobiling, they're more comfortable on their boat, they're doing camping, and they're putting money into their houses. But they're not going out to eat as much, they're not spending as much money on travel. So it's just a shifting of, and I'm wondering if in the business front, if people aren't going, geez, I'm not able to have these events for client acquisition, or we're not doing all of the, all those events where you just feel like network events where everybody's just shaking hands and doing that. Like, is this a replacement for not only some of that time, but maybe some of that money, and conceptually like trying to recapture market share through a little bit different philosophy?
Yeah, I think the benefit, like there's a bunch of benefits of the pandemic, I think, if we look at them. And one is kind of recalibrating how we engage with our markets. Before the pandemic, there were so many markets and you could fly out to see anybody. I don't think people were that focused on relationship, right? They were like, transaction, what do you need? Here's what I have, sell. What do you need? Here's what I have, sell.
Mhm.
When you have your wings clipped, literally, right, where you can't fly, you
Right.
have to find a new way to build intimacy with prospects, with markets, and with your clients that you didn't have to do before, right? You go and break bread with a client or you see them once a month. That's one thing. I think for us, because all of our kind of advisory services happen by phone, we were already used to remote relationships, right? And then you would see clients for dinner or whatever when you happen to be in the same town. But you had that. And I think people that got away with the lazy way of, I don't need to think about that client or try to build a relationship unless I'm in front of them, they are now realizing that the connection with that client that might have been a 2 out of 10 before is now 0, because those clients are yearning, like you are, like I am, for connection, right? And we've tried this with some of our friends, trying to do the virtual cocktail hour. Like, that's not awesome,
Not
right? And because we're trying to talk over each other, and like our group doesn't talk one at a time. We have 5 different side conversations going about different things, getting up and playing musical chairs, right? You're
Yep.
talking to Lego about something, I'm talking about barley about something, we're moving around. That doesn't happen online. So I find that the people that are coming in now are like, okay, I was going to wait out the storm. The storm is not like, storm's not subsiding, right? Like the
Right.
vaccines are not coming out enough. The
Sure.
new vaccines don't seem to be solving the new variants.
Yep.
And so I jokingly said this morning, like, I thought 2021 was going to be different. Like, it feels pretty much the same.
Yeah.
That being said, the companies that pivoted, like ours, had a great year. There are companies that pivoted a little bit that are head and shoulders above their competition.
Sure.
And I think a super majority now are like, okay, we now are forced to pivot or we're going to die. And I think that's where we're seeing the influx of, people that we talked to literally 8 or 9 months ago that never responded, like left them a voicemail. And normally, we talk to somebody, we share the solution, we find out what the challenge is. Do they have means and need? We qualify the prospect,
Yep.
send some information, and then we move in through the closing process. What's happening now, which is blowing my mind, is we reached out to them once last year. They never responded. They email for the package. And when we say, well, you need to talk to us first, right? Like, we don't just send the package out. Then they're saying, just sign me up. And so it's, the buying process is on its head as well, which tells me there's a little bit of panic.
Yeah. Well, and pent up need, probably. They probably feel like they took that year off and it's time to get back to work.
Yeah. Well, I got fat,
So,
right? That's the whole thing. I got fat. Now I need to go get to a trainer,
yeah.
right? Like, probably I can't catch up. And I think that's the good analogy is I let myself go for a year.
Yeah.
I better go and do a 30-day challenge.
Yeah.